Well, joining me now is Dave Doogan, the SNP's Defence and Procurement spokesperson and MP for Angus. Good morning to you, Mr Doogan.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. As we hear then, latest reports coming out of Kiev that Ukraine's army trying to repel a full-scale Russian invasion. Other comments saying fighting raging at an airfield on the outskirts of the city. The Russian assault being fought now on several fronts after it was attacked, of course, yesterday from the east, north, south. For you, what's been your assessment of where it leaves the Ukrainian leadership now and the UK's support for it in terms of sanctions against Russia?
Well, I'm very happy to say that it's my estimation that the UK support and the support of all Western democracies is unwavering in support of the democratically elected government of Ukraine and the people of Ukraine whom that government represents. And I think that's, I heard in your report just there the level of solidarity that's been shown right across the civil society in Scotland. And it's absolutely vital that we do that, because whilst we need to pursue with all available haste and commitment the most overwhelming economic sanctions on Russia, and over and above that, provide material support, I don't think we should underestimate in their time of tremendous peril and need in Ukraine the value of solidarity as a third component to material support and tremendous sanctions against Russia. So, I mean, what's quite clear is there's a very, very serious, I mean, even in the west of Ukraine is under assault from Putin's forces. And so this is a worst case scenario that's emerged over the last 24 hours. No question about that. And if what that's called for in Western allies is a fundamental reassessment of what Putin's overall objectives are, which of course are very hard to determine, because one of the things that's very concerning over the last 24 hours and before that, the last couple of weeks, is what was his objective. And now that we see what he's doing to a democratic, sovereign European state, it really begs whether or not Putin remains a rational international actor. In fact, it suggests very much that he now isn't.
Let's get back to sanctions, because there's been an awful lot of comment and unease, fair to say, in recent weeks, especially about how we control the amount of Russian money in laundering terms, swishing about various cities, including those in Scotland and also certainly in England. Do you think if we had been much tougher with sanctions much earlier on, targeting banks, targeting oligarchs, targeting where this money comes into our country from, it would have perhaps made a difference to Putin's strategy, or not, hitting him more personally?
Well, I think offshoring Russian wealth has been that's what oligarchs do, and that's what Putin has done as well. The problem that we have in the United Kingdom, incidentally, I would challenge the notion that there's much Russian money out with London and the southeast. The Russian money is concentrated there because that's where ludicrous house prices and that lifestyle that goes with it exists. So they found open arms in London, in the southeast of England. They were very pleased to have that reception there, fueling that house price boom and the property price boom in the south east. And they were feted by the Conservative Party in particular, and what was an extraordinarily helpful financial asset to the Conservative Party and other elements of the UK elite is now a tremendous liability, and they find themselves in the unenviable situation of very quickly having to unwind these very well-established relations with wealthy Russians as quickly as they can. And I'd be very disappointed but not surprised if in the full passage of time we see that some of the more pedestrian elements of these sanctions were because of the web of relationships between the UK elite and wealthy Russians, some of whom of course are in the UK Parliament, in the House of Lords. I mean, that's how integrated into the establishment some of this wealth is. So it's very, very concerning. However, that having been said, I was doing media in the middle of this week complaining about the ridiculously weak opening salvo of sanctions that the United Kingdom government had introduced. It's a great relief to see that they've finally pulled the trigger on some much more meaningful sanction in concert with other allies and with other financial centres around the world, which will undoubtedly hurt the Russian economy. And it's important that we try and limit it to the Russian economy because, as we've seen from the very, very brave Russian people in, I think it's around 50 cities around Russia, where Russian citizens are bravely protesting against this war. This is not a fight that the West and civilised democracies have with the Russian people. It's a fight with the Russian elite.
Dave Doogan, we are up against a time element here. Let me ask you finally, if you wouldn't mind, give us a sense of your own constituents in Scotland, how they've been reacting to what is happening in Ukraine. Is there a largish Ukrainian community in the country worried about families and friends back home?
No, we don't have a large Ukrainian diaspora in Angus, but what we do have is a great deal of people with a very caring side to them and a humanitarian obligation, and they've been contacting me to find out how they can help. There's a feeling of powerlessness and overwhelming empathy for people who are just like you and me, trying to find out how to protect their families and their homes in the face of this absolutely incredible assault. And that's what my constituents have been doing, and I'm supporting them in finding a way to materially support families and communities in Ukraine from the families and communities within Angus.
Dave Doogan, good to speak with you this morning. Thank you very much indeed for joining us live here on LBC News. The SNP's Defence and Procurement spokesperson and also MP for Angus.